from Augusta. You're watching News 12 live at 5.
Right now, rescue groups in South Carolina are forced to foot the bill when taking in abused animals, which certainly can put a financial strain on some of them. And now, a bill waiting to be signed into law aims to bring some much-needed relief.
The bill sitting on Governor Henry McMaster's desk will give a judge the power to order someone charged with animal cruelty to pay for the care of an animal. For places like the Equine Rescue of Aiken, this can't come soon enough. They're paying thousands of dollars for vet care while animal cruelty court cases play out.
Our Sydney Hood caught up with the rescue. They tell her this bill will help them save more animals in the future.
Equine Rescue of Aiken has rescued roughly 50 horses out here. They say 13 of those can and should have already been adopted by now. Instead, those horses are waiting for a court date to determine their future. Equine Rescue says until that happens, there's really nothing they can do. 9 of those horses have been with Equine Rescue for about 2 years, costing the rescue thousands they say could be put towards other horses. They say they have to turn horses away because they don't have the resources. Right now in South Carolina, House Bill 3682 is waiting for Governor McMaster's signature. It would require owners charged with animal cruelty to come up with the money to pay these rescues for the animals' care.
The burden should not be placed on our donors, and in the county's case, on the taxpayers or other nonprofits to care for animals that the owners should have been taken care of to begin with.
Coming up all new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we'll share why Equine Rescue says this law will bring them and other rescue groups across South Carolina much needed relief.
Thanks, Sydney. It's nearly time for you to cast your vote in Georgia. All right, thanks, Raleigh. The city of Savannah is on high alert after 11 people are injured in a mass shooting. It happened Saturday in Ellis Square just before midnight. It's believed to have started as a dispute between 2 people that spilled out into another area of Ellis Square. Law enforcement believes that there were multiple shooters here. The FBI is now involved and is asking for photos and videos taken around the time of that shooting. While Savannah deputies have not released the names of any suspects, in a press conference, they made it abundantly clear that this is being taken seriously.
We will do everything we can. We will work tirelessly. We will be relentless to hold you accountable. I don't want to put you in jail. I want to put you in prison.
Strong words there. The mass shooting was one of 5 total shootings in Savannah over the weekend, but authorities say at this time there is no reason to believe any of these shootings were gang-related.
A Kennesaw State University student gunned down on campus over the weekend. As you can imagine, it's left friends and other students pretty shaken up.
Absolutely. The victim, identified as Elijah Franklin, Bridget Spencer shows us how her classmates will remember her.
The Kennesaw State University community, family, and friends are remembering a life cut way too short.
She was just such an important figure within this university. We can't let this go.
Police say 21-year-old Elijah Franklin was shot and killed in front of the Austin Residence Complex on campus Saturday afternoon. The suspect, a man named Samuel Harris from Carroll, Georgia, whom KSU officials say is not a student.
He just came in on campus and just did something so senseless, man. It's just insane.
The shooting happened right outside Anthony Harrison's window.
I was just laying down, taking a nap, and then out of nowhere I heard like 7 or 8 shots go off. All I could remember is just like walking up and just seeing her body lay there lifeless.
Franklin was heavily involved in activities such as student government and had plans to become a nurse practitioner.
She was very, very determined. Like, her purpose was to speak up for people who were afraid to speak up for themselves.
Samuel Harris sits in the Cobb County Jail and faces charges, including murder.
We need to advocate for her and make sure that she gets the true justice that she deserves, because nobody ever deserves to go out the way that she did.
School officials have confirmed that the suspect, Samuel Harris, is not a student at Kennesaw State. The motive in this incident is still unknown.
Schools are almost out and families are gearing up for summer vacations. Just ahead, how South Carolina is preparing for a busy summer tourism season. Riley?
Well, we are going to stay dry over the next couple of days, and temperatures back close to 90 later in the week. We'll have that full forecast next.
Time and Temp, brought to you by your First Alert Weather Team.
Don't necessarily look super high. It's just going to be a matter of a summer-like pattern to where we'll kind of heat up, bubble up, maybe an isolated storm in the afternoon, and then we're mostly dry. But temperatures will be feeling warm, and we could bring back the heat index later in the week.
Thanks, Riley. Tourism experts in South Carolina are expecting a record summer this year. That's good news for the Palmetto State, where tourism contributes an estimated $29 billion to the economy each year.
That's a lot of cash. South Carolina State House reporter Mary Green has the details.
An economist from the University of South Carolina says current economic conditions all point to a strong summer for tourism here in the Palmetto State.
Consumer spending remains strong as the labor market remains strong. Unemployment is low in South Carolina and across the U.S. And we also continue to see strong wage growth in 2024.
USC research economist Joey Von Nessen says South Carolina is likely to see more growth in tourism this summer as it has the last few years. But he adds that growth might taper a bit this year, with the tourism industry now fully recovered post-pandemic. The director of South Carolina's Parks, Recreation, and Tourism, Dwayne Parrish, says 2022 and 2023 were record years for tourism in the state, and he expects more of that this year.
Gas prices have remained stable. Inflation seems to have cooled a little bit. People have just enjoyed the outdoor recreation more since COVID than ever, and that continues on today. We have a lot of that in South Carolina. I anticipate a great summer, quite frankly.
And one area of focus to bring even more visitors here to South Carolina is sports tourism, with Parrish pointing to Darlington and the new PGA Tour stop in Myrtle Beach as just a few examples of this. He says that this area makes up about 10% of the overall tourism sector, with more growth expected in the coming years. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
Von Nessen says one reason South Carolina is such a tourist hotspot because of its drivability from so many different locations, particularly with the number of people who have been moving to this part of the country in recent years.
Breaking news live at 5. SLED is accusing the former Aiken County Chief Deputy Coroner with stealing medications over the course of several years during his time as Deputy Coroner. 60-year-old Alton Smith is accused of collecting medications from death investigations and not reporting that medication as required.
Warrants allege Smith took these medications, including some serious controlled substances, from 2018 to 2023. Smith resigned from his position last year. He is currently in the Aiken County Detention Center.
Well, there's a federal agency that investigates every transportation-related incident from boats to planes, but critics say that agency is dropping the ball when it comes to plane crashes. We take a closer look coming up after the break.
First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group. After you've been in...
See how you can make a difference in a child's life every Tuesday and Thursday on News 12 First and 4. We'll introduce you to foster children looking for their forever homes. Grant me hope, because every child deserves to have hope. Sponsored by the Eichholz Law Firm.
From the Maryland cargo ship collision to the Alaska Airlines door incident, when transportation accidents happen, there is a federal agency that investigates to find the cause.
But when it comes to plane crashes, critics say there's a problem. They don't have the money or manpower to examine every site. National investigative reporter Josie Sturman digs into why the independent agency in charge often leaves the initial on-site work to another group that's come under fire.
When disaster strikes on the rails, the road, in the water, and in the air, it's investigators with the NTSB who are tasked with figuring out what went wrong. The National Transportation Safety Board, created as an independent watchdog deliberately separate from the FAA and charged by Congress to investigate every aviation accident in America. But as it balances budget and staffing challenges, our national investigative team discovered the NTSB is often MIA from a critical piece of crash investigations, the on-scene response.
I couldn't believe it.
On October 2nd, 2020, Ellen Sturm was supposed to be hosting a birthday party with her longtime love, Steve Barnes. Before it even got started, a plane crash had her planning his funeral.
Everything okay up there?
Barnes, a prominent attorney and pilot, was killed along with his niece when his private plane crashed near Buffalo.
It's just like the two brightest lights extinguished.
The crash, by law, automatically igniting a federal investigation by the NTSB. But although the agency was at the helm, it wasn't on the ground. So the on-site investigation duties were left to the FAA, which did respond in person.
It felt like nobody really cared enough to really look into what happened.
Our national investigative team discovered arm's-length investigations are a fairly common practice for the NTSB, even in cases where people are killed. With help from our partners at the Arnold Center for Investigative Journalism at Indiana University, we analyzed data from the agency's accident reports dating back to 2015. Our team found NTSB investigators didn't respond on scene to an average of at least 21% of fatal aircraft crashes each year, relying on FAA investigators to be their eyes and ears on the ground.
Some reports outlined a clear reason for investigators not to go. Things like pilot suicides, crashes into the ocean, or remote dangerous terrain that made examining wreckage impossible. Others had witnesses, video, or radio recordings that gave the NTSB solid leads on a potential cause without seeing the scene. But that's not always the case.
I think most people, if they looked at this picture as a whole, would say the problem is not at the NTSB, it's not at the FAA. It rests with the people who allocate the resources for the job that they want done.
Resources are a real challenge. The FAA has more than 40,000 employees. The NTSB, about 400, with only about 50 on-scene investigators. So it has to make strategic decisions about whether another party, like the FAA, can handle the scene.
We'll have a direct contact with the investigator that goes, and it will be a collaborative effort of deciding what to do.
But it's that collaboration that has some critics sounding alarms about the NTSB and FAA being too close for comfort. The FAA has its own mission, along with a growing list of questions to answer about oversight in the wake of the Boeing scandals and Alaska Airlines door incident.
Right now, there's no faith in the system.
For Ellen Sturm, it's a system that has failed to deliver answers for her family. The cause of the crash that killed Steve and Liz Barnes is still a mystery, listed as a failure to maintain control for undetermined reasons.
Why did it drop from the sky? I still don't feel like I know.
Josie Sturman, on your side.
Our team spent months contacting congressional leaders and key transportation leaders to discuss findings and the need for additional NTSB funding. None agreed to interview. Riley?
Well, we are seeing dry and sunny the next couple of days, which means our UV index is going to be running in the extreme range over the next several days. Make sure you are protecting yourself from the sun. Another quick look at that 7-day just after the break.
It's the Roosty Goosty Go.
How far would you travel for someone you love?
A South Carolina father and son now know their answer is at least 7 hours. Mike and Michael live in Lexington, South Carolina, and decided to adopt a dog, only they missed an important bit of information when they fell in love with one pup. He was in Lexington, Kentucky, more than 400 miles away.
But they say that did not stop them from getting in their car and making that drive to welcome the pup into their family.
Saw him get out of the truck with his foster, and we were like, "Is that Eminem?" She was like, "Yes," and he walked right up to us, and we kneeled down next to him, and we just knew. We were like, he's definitely coming home. This isn't just a meet and greet.
Oh, now Mike and Michael are advocating for others to consider adoption and reminding others that there is no distance too far that love cannot conquer.
Mike, Michael, and probably Mikey will be the name of the dog. Could probably make that work, but that's the sweetest story. 700 miles or 400 miles. That's not too far. No.
It's a day's drive and an adventure and a good story.
Absolutely.
And if you live in the Midlands, you see Lexington, you think Lexington, South Carolina, but Kentucky.
We have that problem all the time with Augusta, Maine.
Yeah.
There are people who fly to Augusta, Maine every Masters. I feel so bad.
Oh my goodness, I could not imagine. This doesn't look like Georgia.
Yeah, whoopsie.
Yep, great story there, though. Always love the pup stories, and luckily that dog now has a fantastic family that's going to love him for a long time. And we got a beautiful afternoon looking over our Thurman Dam Cam. Nice day to be up at Clarks Hill Lake. We do have sunshine in store there over the next several days. Not much rain in our forecast for the rest of the work week. We are seeing our temperatures hit the low and mid 80s today. Will likely be a little bit warmer each day the rest of the week. Now, our low temperatures the next couple of mornings, not feeling too bad whatsoever. We should be waking up in the 50s early Tuesday Tuesday, Wednesday. May have to keep an eye out for some dense fog showing up the next couple of mornings. But you can see our morning temps do go up by the end of the week. That's going to be thanks to more humidity. And once we get that humidity back, maybe we could see a few summer-like storms showing up by the afternoon for the weekend. But here's a look at that 7 day, nice and dry for the rest of the work week. So after very wet last week, we finally get to dry out a little bit.
Thanks, Riley. Stick with us. Much more news, weather, and sports coming up after a short break as News 12 Live at 5 continues.
Introducing the First Alert Radio, and you'll never forget it.
At the CBS Evening News, we focus on solutions, finding solutions to healthcare problems, how much money we can spend on groceries, finding solutions to help people understand what are the right choices to make for you and your family.
Folks, I don't...
All right, thanks for that, Riley. 2 people are dead after a vehicle and log truck collided after a police chase. Now, it happened this afternoon just before 2 in Edgefield County on Highway 25 near the Wild Turkey Federation. That part of Highway 25 is still closed, and Edgefield County EMA expects it to stay closed for the next few hours. A detour is set up in the meantime. South Carolina State Troopers are investigating.
The investigation into the deaths of a mother and her infant son continues tonight. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office says 30-year-old Tiara Jennings and her child were found dead in their home on Saturday afternoon at a home on Chase Creek Court. Just in the last hour, we learned that both Jennings and her child had discoloration to their faces, and the child had a large bruise on his head. An autopsy is scheduled, and right now it's unclear what occurred. We're following this situation, and we'll update you as we know more.
New this evening, SLED is accusing the former Aiken County Chief Deputy Coroner with stealing medications over the course of several years during his time as Deputy Coroner. 60-year-old Alton Smith is accused of collecting medication from death investigations and not reporting that medication as required. Warrants allege Smith took these medications, including some serious controlled substances, from 2018 to 2023. Smith resigned from his position last year. He is currently in the Aiken County Detention Center.
Feeding the Fearless. Today, the 3rd annual tournament honoring law enforcement and first responders kicked off in North Augusta.
Our Taylor Martin stopped by the River Golf Club to see what it's all about.
Katie Mode started Feeding the Fearless 7 years ago to support the men and women working to keep our communities safe.
I am the younger sister of a law enforcement officer, and I just got to see firsthand how thankless their job was, and so it just made it my mission to make sure that law enforcement officers all over the United States felt appreciated and knew that they had people in their corner and praying over them.
Since 2017, the nonprofit has grown from its birthplace of North Augusta to 10 different states across the U.S., with events like Feeding the Fearless Golf Tournament to help raise funds for the mission.
Police officers do 12-hour shifts and firefighters do 24-hour shifts, which not a lot of people know. And yes, they have those set shifts, but it's never just 12 hours. It's never just 24. So we wanted to make sure they knew, even just the smallest thing is taking them food, they felt appreciated.
Today, dozens of golfers teed off for the first responders.
We give everything back into the nonprofit. That way we're able to give back to our communities and give to these law enforcement officers. So everything made today will go back and we can help feed more stations during the year.
Raising awareness of Feeding the Fearless.
I'm just a small town girl wanting to make a big difference. And of course I couldn't do it without everyone who's involved with Feeding the Fearless.
To give support to the ones who support us. Reporting in North Augusta, Taylor Martin on your side.
And if you want to get involved with Feeding the Fearless, you can purchase the children's book on Amazon, or you can drop off a basket of your own to a local law enforcement agency and tag at Feeding the Fearless on Instagram. Well, this just in, live at 5, the Burke County Sheriff's Office is searching for this missing man, 36-year-old Billy Joe Farmer. Family says he was last seen more than a week ago, but was spotted in Sardis on Friday. He is possibly wearing a blue shirt, blue jeans, a brown jacket, and could be carrying around a Bible. If you've spotted him or know where he may be, call the Burke County Sheriff's Office.
The esports industry in Georgia, it is growing fast. After the break, how women are carving out their own space within this male-dominated field. Riley?
Well, high temps today hit the mid-80s. We should do it again for tomorrow, then only getting warmer the rest of the week. We'll have that full forecast next.
Time and Temp, brought to you by your First Alert weather team.
feel a little bit warmer and more humid, though, as we get towards the end of the weekend. Possibly a few storms this weekend.
All right, thanks for that, Riley. Gaming and esports. It is one of the fastest growing industries with new jobs opening every single day.
Our State House reporter Abby Kasoris found out the industry is offering more incentives for women wanting to turn their hobby into a career.
Here in Georgia, the gaming industry is a $550 million industry with more than 12,000 jobs. Despite nearly half of gamers being female, this is a male-dominated industry. Some companies here in Georgia are looking to change that.
I don't have a favorite. I'm gonna go with indigo, because indigo is one of my favorite colors.
Arcade Padirna has worked on big film sets, but she says working in esports production, things just clicked.
Live broadcast is very go, 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 go. Like, everything has to be figured out on the fly. If something goes wrong, you have to figure out how to fix it immediately.
This is a photo from the last set that she lighted, and the crew at Skillshot Media, mostly men. CEO Todd Harris is trying to change that.
A lot of times, groups like Young Women don't have role models or mentor opportunities to see that they could have a career in the industry they love.
He started the Broadcast Her Academy, a career accelerator opening the door to employment opportunities for female sportscasters, players, and designers.
At the end of the day, we advise parents to think about gaming similar to chess. It's a sport of the brain.
They've helped more than 50 women over the last decade. This year, they're opening another 5 fellowship spots. Each fellow gets a computer, software, a mentor, and hands-on experience on set.
Diversity is a pro. It's not a con.
You can apply between now and July. This is a year-long fellowship, which includes an all-expense-paid trip to Atlanta for Games Week, Georgia. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Kasoris.
An 8-year-old boy is taking matters into his own hands to fight against the removal of hundreds of trees on Sullivan's Island. Dominion Energy is set to remove more than 500 palm trees on the island starting later this month. It says it's to protect the power lines, but many people, including Keegan Novak and his parents, say it is not the right call.
I just wanted to support the trees.
And why are the trees so important to you?
They're in our history. They're in our history. They provide us air. We wouldn't have won the Battle of Sullivan's Island without them.
He's not wrong. The Battle of Sullivan's Island that Keegan is referring to took place in 1776, where Moultrie was able to stand against the British. The fort was made partially with palmetto logs, which were able to stand against the British's attacks. City leaders at Sullivan's Island say they are trying to fight back, but progress has been slow going.
Is your photo library a disaster like mine? Thousands of photos and videos I no longer want, but how do you go through them all to decide which ones to keep? I'm Jamie Tucker, coming up with a smartphone app that practically does the job for you.
First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group.
Are you turning 65 soon? At 64 Insurance Group, we know how confusing Medicare can be. Let us guide you through the entire process. And by the way, you don't pay a penny for our services. Don't wait until you're 65 to call. For you64.com.
May is melanoma. And her now not-so-baby boy. Stop by for your free fitting at the Good Feet store.
Brett, what are you doing? Laminating some stuff. First off, pretty sure that's a federal offense. And second, that's for our customers to laminate their Medicare cards when they come in for a commitment-free consultation. My bad. For you64.com.
When is the last time you cleaned up your photo album?
Never.
Yeah, I know many of us use our phone camera regularly, but that means we can start to collect useless pictures and screenshots.
And that storage space is valuable. Our consumer tech reporter Jamie Tucker has an app that can help you clean out your photo album.
Flip the Tech, sponsored by Augusta Preparatory Day School.
Since we can now take endless photos on our smartphone, we usually do. So we have dozens of photos of pretty much the same thing. Deleting them is a little tricky, but this smartphone app called Cleanup practically does it for you. Cleanup is for iPhone and Android devices. You give it permission to access the photos on your phone, then Cleaner scans your photo library looking for duplicates. Select the ones you'd like to delete, but Cleanup also selects the best picture of the lot, like making sure everyone's eyes are open. It also finds videos that are similar, review them, and swipe left to delete, right to keep. In just a few minutes, Cleanup helped me find and delete 18 videos videos I didn't even know were on my phone, clearing up over 14 gigabytes of space. The paid version of Cleanup does the same to your contacts list, looking for duplicates and contacts that are incomplete, and an email cleaner for Gmail. A basic version of Cleanup is free, but the paid version is either $6 a week or $40 for forever. There is a free 7-day trial. I'm Jamie Tucker, and Cleanup is the app of the day.
Two of our local high school baseball teams won state championships last week. And tonight we have one more team trying to bring home the hardware.
Harlem and Augusta Christian both getting the job done. Our sports director Dan Booth joins us live now with the latest on Edmund Burke Academy's pursuit of a state title.
After splitting the first two games of the GIAA Class 2A State Championship Series, this afternoon Edmund Burke and Gatewood hit the diamond one final time to decide a state champion. Edmund Burke forced this series deciding Game 3 with a hard-fought win in Game 2, but sadly this one did not go their way. The Gators jumped out to an early lead and kept the Spartans at arm's length for most of the way. Gatewood takes the state title 6-0, and this is a tough loss for Edmund Burke for a way for them to end their fantastic season. At the college ranks, the SEC baseball tournament begins tomorrow morning. The Georgia Bulldogs are heading into the dance as the 6th seed after finishing 3rd in the SEC East. Superstar and home run hitting machine Charlie Condon has been named the SEC Player of the Year after leading the nation in home runs, batting average, and slugging percentage. Georgia will face 11-seeded LSU in the first round. First pitch between the Dogs and the Tigers is set for 10:30 a.m. in Hoover, Alabama.
Thank you for that, Dan. Hopefully the Dogs can keep that momentum going. We do have a decent forecast tomorrow for Election Day for the Georgia primary. Temps will be near 60 when the polls open up, and then we'll close out the day in the 80s. Another quick look at that 7-day just after break.
Create your perfect room with patio enclosures. Whether you are looking
10 to 6. Welcome back, folks. Here's a live look from our downtown Augusta camera. A beautiful look at the Augusta Canal. We got downtown in the distance. Just a few of these fair weather cumulus clouds out. Those should go away once we get past sunset. Our temperatures currently still at 84 degrees. We'll stay in the 80s the next couple of hours, but no radar forecast if you have any evening plans. And honestly, not much rain in our forecast until we get to the weekend. Even then, it looks relatively slim. So for tonight, we're going to keep skies clear. Temps will be able to fall off into the upper 50s by daybreak tomorrow morning. So a nice start to our Tuesday. Those high temps tomorrow don't look all that different than today. Wind direction out of the east, and it should be very calm throughout the day Tuesday. Wind not expected to get above 10 miles an hour. For our Wednesday, not too much different in the morning, some upper 50s, and then we should be able to see high temps maybe just a tad warmer heading into our Wednesday afternoon. We're going to be back to the 90s, though, later this week, most likely showing up Thursday, and then each day into the weekend, we'll stay with highs near 90. We'll start to get a little bit more humidity back by the weekend. That's where we could see a few afternoon storms.
All right, thanks, Riley. Stick with us. Much more news, weather, and sports coming up after a short break on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
This is not you.
It's not me.
Real people, real problems, real life solutions. Investigate TV Plus.
Foundation settlement can be serious.